In the next 30 minutes, get ready to experience an extraordinary staycation adventure. On this episode of Tahoe Homes, I'm taking you outside of the Tahoe Basin to take a step back in time to relive the 19th century mining bonanza here in the historic town of Virginia City. You and I will be visiting one of the most famed landmarks, the Silver Queen Hotel, dating back to 1876, which also has a very haunted reputation. So I invite you to join me to see the way it was on this episode of Tahoe Homes. Only a 45-minute drive northeast of Lake Tahoe, nestled between the sagebrush and the Pine Nut Mountains, is a town once known as the City of Silver and Gold. Driving up the infamous Geiger Grade was once the Comstock Highway that took you into the heart of this historic mining town, Virginia City, Nevada. During the vibrant mining peak, Virginia City became the most important industrial city between Denver and San Francisco, turning destitute prospectors into millionaires overnight. Mansions, hotels, opera houses, and schools were established within weeks to support the exuberant city. Yet with every boom comes a bust. Mining was a hard way to make a living. with 100-degree temperatures 3,000 feet down in a mine shaft that required deep concentration from the person at the helm of the elevator. To this day, it is said that the spirits of the people of the Queen of the Comstock still haunt this old city, and people travel from around the world to see the way it was in hopes to encounter those spirits found at the Silver Queen Hotel.
My name's Connie Carlson, and I'm owner of the Silver Queen Hotel. I've lived here since 1961. My dad came home, we were living in Reno, and he was a pit boss at the Mapes, and he said, "We're moving to Virginia City tomorrow." It's like, okay. So we moved up here, and he used to buy property and flip it. And then he and my mom got a divorce in 1989. He says, "Connie, we're buying the Silver Queen." So we bought it in July 1989. So that's a long time ago, 27 years ago. The history of Virginia City is unique. It started out as a stopover going west to California for the gold rush, and then it became the richest place in the world at that time, and miners from all over came here to make their fortune, and we became really famous when Bonanza came on TV because everyone wanted to see where the Cartwrights lived. Those days the Virginia City would be packed. You could sit at the edge of town and see a stream of cars coming in. The history of the Silver Queen, well, first of all, it was the original site of the Territorial Enterprise in the 1860s. And when Sam Clemens came here, his office was at our site, but it burnt down, and the Silver Queen was built in 1876 after the Great Fire. It was the old Capitol, and then it was Molinelli's Hotel, and I think it was the Kearney Hotel at one time. And then it became the Silver Queen, I'm going to say around the 1950s. The Silver Queen Hotel has 28 rooms. 4 of them have clawfoot bathrooms, the rest of them have showers. There's 14 rooms on the second floor, 14 on the third floor. The rooms are refurbished, but we did put the bathrooms in each room, so every room has their own bathroom. But we have no telephones or TVs, and we don't charge extra for that. People actually have to talk to each other.
The Wild West old charm feel is complemented by rugged antiques and laced curtains. Transoms are still in place, which back in the day was used as a natural ventilation and cooling system for each room.
Here at the Silver Queen, we just have 2 rooms that you can see the 200-mile view with Sugarloaf. And on a clear day, you can see a range of mountains behind those mountains that you can see right now.
This is called the 200-mile view, a vista of mountains called the Virginia Range, which served as a backdrop during the mining boom.
When we took over the Silver Queen, had to do a lot of cleaning. The hotel was not open, so we had to build all the bathrooms and paint all the rooms and put in fire sprinklers. And it was the day we opened was camel races, and my dad goes, the hotel's booked tonight. Well, there was 7 rooms that weren't finished, so I had to have the customers help carry their beds up. I had to have my ex-husband help put up shower curtains. It's like everybody pitched in, and they thought it was great. I said, yeah, you have to put your own furniture in your room if you're staying tonight. So they still come back.
Coming up next, meet a living legend of Virginia City. He's known as the pistol-packing preacher. This character is the wildest preacher in the West, with a rattlesnake hat, spur-spinning boots, and can marry you at the oldest and most unique chapel in the state of Nevada, at the Silver Queen Hotel. You're back watching Taw Homes, taking a step back in time, visiting the old historic mining town of Virginia City. Famously known as being the richest city in the West during the Comstock Lode, we're touring one of the most iconic establishments, the Silver Queen Hotel and Wedding Chapel.
I am Reverend James Matthew. I'm the morning bartender. I open the hotel up in the morning. I'm also the minister here. I perform weddings here and all over town, and I've traveled down to Yerington and Lake Tahoe. I did a wedding right on the beach in South Lake Tahoe, and I've done weddings just about every place in town. I'm also a docent here in town. I go around and take pictures with people, and if they have any questions about the history of the town or where different things are in town, things that they should see, I give them all that information. It takes quite a bit of studying to learn all of the history of Virginia City. There's a lot of it. This hotel has been here for 136, 137 years. So we did a lot of work in here and brought all these floors and stuff back to the original floors. And doing a lot of maintenance here, I had to pull up about 90 square feet of this flooring here. And this flooring's over 135 years old. I accidentally found enough to replace it. It's had about 5 or 6 different names. One of the latest was Mullinell's, and then it was the Silver Queen. And I think they named it that after they put the portrait up there on the wall with all the silver dollars on it. And that was done as a tribute to the miners. There's 3,261 silver dollars, and there's 1 silver dollar for every foot of the deepest mine. And that's a portrait of one of the owners at the time. Her name was Jerry Eden. That mine that they're talking about, they had to close it. They were pumping 5 million gallons of water a day out of it. And this water comes up at about 140, 150 degrees temperature. And they had to close the mine because they couldn't pump the water out fast enough. And that was the combination shaft. So there's still gold down there, they just can't get at it. They call me the pistol packing preacher because I do pack a .44 Magnum revolver. That also makes me the most dangerous man in town. I can marry you or bury you. When I get dressed like this, I am stepping into the past. And it's like an actor that has a part, he reads it, he researches a little bit so he can get into the part. When I get dressed for a wedding, I step into that part of the past. And people love it because they don't see it very often. And they'll come up to me and say, that's a nice costume. And I said, no, these are my working clothes. This is not a costume. This is one of the oldest working chapels in Nevada. Being a reverend in this chapel is great. I meet people from all over the world. I marry people that are diverse agriculture from different parts of the world that come together. I say things to a lot of people that most people wouldn't say to them. I'm old and I can get away with it. Besides, I carry a gun too, so they're not going to argue with me. The chapel's an antique. It's been here for a long time, and there's been thousands and thousands of people married in this chapel over the years. So it's something different than going into a church. And I think this is why they want to get married here, because we've done a lot of work in here to upkeep it, to make it original, to keep it original, and people like that. Now, if you went into a place where they made it look like an old chapel, it wouldn't be the same, because it isn't. Most of the furniture in this hotel, like in the rooms, are antiques, and they date back to early 1900s, late 1800s, as well as this pump organ behind me, and the other piano over there that came across the prairies in the late 1800s. I fix a lot of these antiques and keep them working and everything. This organ, that piano, the music player, this piano here is 1920, 1930s. This furniture in here dates back to late 1800s, early 1900s. They made furniture then to last. It's not like things you can get now. So if you take care of them, they will last another 100 years. And I continually repairing a lot of the furniture upstairs.
If this cowboy of all trades isn't giving vows, then he's tinkering and fixing antiques, some dating back to the 1800s.
I did the first gay wedding in Virginia City. The second gay wedding I did, his name was Kitty Glitter. 6'3" and a 9-inch hairdo on top of that, wedding gown and multicolored fake flowers. Had a handshake like a football player. I am Reverend James Matthew. They call me the pistol packing preacher because I do pack a .44 Magnum revolver. It has a 7.5-inch barrel, so I can reach out and touch somebody a long ways away.
When we return from the break, we're going to belly up to the bar, get a lesson in history while sipping on their signature mint juleps, and hearing stories of the paranormal happenings around their historic walls. Only on this episode of Ta Homes. This is Virginia City, Nevada. On Tall Homes, we've learned the rich past of this old mining town. We've watched the history come alive, meeting some incredible local characters here at the Silver Queen Hotel. Now it's time to belly up to the bar and sip on a cold one and hear stories of the way it was.
I'm Karen West, and I've been working here for about 8 years. I bartend, make hotel reservations, check in guests, plan weddings, host weddings, and I do all that here at the Silver Queen. The Silver Queen burned in 1875, as did 300 other buildings in town. We were rebuilt in 1876. Our back bar was built here, which was unusual for the time. Usually they came from Europe around the Horn of Africa, but this one was built here and it's the tallest back bar in the world. And if you looked underneath the bar top, it's the same kind of structural design in wood as it is on the top.
Visitors are mesmerized by the size and scale of the wooden back bar, framing the gold dust mirror accented by antiques and memorabilia from what looks like every decade. Mark Twain was a familiar face at this saloon, and be sure to raise a glass to his grand mural overlooking the bar patrons. Old gas lamp chandeliers hang high above the bar stools, framed by authentic pressed tin panels. A porcelain rose petal chandelier from France illuminates the grand view of the Silver Queen herself. An eclectic mix of old world antiques and vintage toys decorate the walls.
People all over the world have been coming here to have a ghost experience, mainly because of what they've seen on Ghost Adventures with Zach. The main spirit here was in room 11, and supposedly she killed herself because she was pregnant and she wasn't happy and she wasn't married, and in those days you're supposed to be married. And they come here and look for her.
There's ghosts all over town. The whole town's haunted. But they've been burying people in this cemetery since before 1859. So there's a lot of people that died up here and around in the area, and a lot of people that died in the mine shafts. Because of the hot water that comes out of some of these mines, they never knew if they were going to get a hot water streak, and that would kill them right then. So it was very dangerous to work in there, and there was a lot of people that died. And because they died fast, I think is why they stick around. They just never left. So there's a lot of ghosts in town, and I think that's why.
We have a book downstairs where people share their paranormal experiences. Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventures had his first video of a paranormal experience in room 11, and we've been on Ghost Adventures 3 times. So people come here with all their little equipment. They stay up all night and they look for ghosts. Personally, I used to stay in room 3 when I was living in Reno because I was a teacher, and I'd come up and do staff development. So I'd stay at the hotel and someone would always shake my bed, and it was like,
Well, there's places that have good ghosts, and there's places that have bad ones. We don't have any bad ghosts here. They're all nice. They're like Casper. And people will ask me about the ghosts when they stay in the rooms and stuff, and I said they're nice ghosts. They're like Casper. They might sit on the bed or pull the sheets or something. You just tell them to go away, and they will. So we haven't had any problems with ghosts or anything.
A lot in the last few months, I hear my name, and this is during the day on a weekend when there are people in here, but nobody in here knows me. But several times since last fall, when nobody's in here except for myself, but I'm not facing toward you, I'm either bent over doing something or I'm turned around, I get up because I thought somebody came in and there's no one there. And then I realize that I'm hearing the same woman's voice each time, but I have not been able to figure out what she's saying yet. But it's the same voice.
On display at the Silver Queen Hotel is their impressive book of haunted photos, where guests have sent in photos of their encounters and things they've seen lingering the hallways during their stay here at the Silver Queen. From orbs seen in the chapel to figures in the background, it is said that this is the most haunted hotel in all of Virginia City. Do you believe in ghosts? Well, I guess you'll have to book your next stay to see for yourself. Whether you're looking to explore those supernatural findings, or relive the Victorian era, or looking to just get away for the weekend, Virginia City is sure to entertain, and the Silver Queen Hotel should not be missed. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Ta Homes. You'll never know what findings come next.